Hi, I'm Shelley Kirkland with Rush Creek Quilt Store in Bremen, Ohio. Welcome to my video blog, Amongst Friends. This is the first time I've ever done something like this, so it's a video blog, it's a blog, I'm not really sure what you call it, but it's been something that's been on my heart to do for a while, because I think one of the things that so many of us enjoy about quilting and sewing is not, well, fabric is nice too, don't get me wrong, but it's not just the fabric and it's not just the making things, but I think it's also the sense of community and camaraderie that we get with people who have similar, likes and enjoy doing similar things. So one of the draws, I think, to going to classes or to going to retreats, or just going for the day and spending a day sewing with a friend is, you're sewing, you're learning new things, maybe something that your friend does differently than you, and you learn a new skill or you learn an easier way to do things. But also we enjoy the, just the chit chat back and forth, just the time kind of spending talking about what's going on in the world, talking about our friends, talking about gardening or whatever else we enjoy doing, how annoying our husband is, or whatever the topic of the day is. So I kind of have been thinking about doing something like this because I myself listen to a lot of podcasts. I am a dental hygienist as my longtime profession. And so I drive about 40 minutes one way to the office that I work at. So I spend a lot of time in my car. And so what I do is I like in the mornings on my way to work, I like to listen to worship music, and I spend that time sort of as my prayer time, just kind of to set my mind in the right place before I start work. But on my way home for 40 minutes, I typically listen to some kind of podcast. And I have several different podcasts that I like to listen to. Some are more current event based, some are more politically based. I listen to some on gardening, I listen to some on chicken keeping because I love chickens, and I listen to some that are, more Christian based. So whatever mood I'm in, whatever I feel like listening to, that's kind of what I do. So I thought to myself, it's hard to keep up with all of it, to listen to something. I only work 3 or 4 days a week. So, I want to keep up on what's going on in the world. I'm not necessarily a politically interested person, but there's definitely things going on in our country and in the world and even in our local politics that we should keep abreast to. So I like to listen to that stuff too, but it's hard to listen to it all. I only have so much time, so I want to learn things about gardening. I want to learn things about that I can do better with my chickens. I want to know what's going on in the world and what affects my life and the life of my child and my family. So I thought, what if I took 30 minutes to 60 minutes and we kind of just cover a few different things while we sit and sew. So I got my trusty sewing machine here. It just is a lot, like I said, to keep up with. And so, I thought this is a place where we could come and, a safe place like it is with our friends that accept us no matter what we think or what we like to do. And so, I thought, like I said, we could talk about sewing, and I'll share some of what I'm working on today. We can talk about gardening, we can talk about chickens, we can talk about some politics, some current event stuff, wrap it all into a little bit of, Jesus and some biblical teaching, and, tie it all up in an hour, and hopefully you walk away smarter and not dumber. I don't know, we'll see. So if anybody watches this, maybe it'll be something that I can do weekly. But like I said, I'd like it to be something that makes you smarter and not dumber and does not waste your time, because none of us have a lot of time. I feel like since COVID in 2020, that it's been harder for, once people kind of lost connection with other people for, however long that they stayed disconnected, a year or 2 years or 3 or whatever it's been, I think it's harder. I feel like it's been harder for people to get plugged back in to things, get plugged back into doing, going to retreats or going to quilt classes, or even getting back into church, so this hopefully is, something that, kind of helps you plug back in if you run across this on the interwebs and you want to, watch, hopefully, like I said, you'll pick up something that, was worth your time. So, you know, it's a place to share interests and get to kind of hang out amongst friends. So here, like I said, we'll chat about some of these things, and we'll see where it takes us. And like I said, if no one watches this, then you'll never see me again. Well, you'll see me again somewhere else, but not doing this. But if anybody likes it, then like I said, I'll try to toss one out there weekly. A reminder, you want to keep an open mind, because just like when we are talking with our friends, our politics may not completely align. You may love Taylor Swift. I may find her annoying. You know, our religious beliefs may not be the same. But the thing is, we can still be friends with people and still respect their beliefs and respect their opinions and not jump all over them and not say nasty things. There was once a time in humankind that we were able to do that and be friends with people who were different from us. And I think that's an art that has become lost. If there's anything that I've learned over the past few years, that's one of the things that it's just too hard for people to be able to just stay friends with someone who's different than they are, and to respect that person and to allow them to have their thoughts without jumping all over them. You know, and I'm guilty of this, and I'm sure you may be too. A lot of times when somebody posts something on, say, Facebook, you know, they'll post like groups that I'm in, chicken keeper groups. You know, I'm in Facebook groups for making homemade dog food, that sort of thing. I'm kind of looking at foraying into that. We'll maybe talk about that next time if I do another video. But, you know, I sometimes, when people will post a question, oh, I know another one. The college that my daughter goes to, I'm on some parent Facebook pages, and parents will, you know, they join those pages because they don't know what to do, especially if they have a new college freshman and it's new to everybody, you know. And so they join these pages hoping to learn something, to find out the ins and outs, you know. And so they'll post an innocent enough question that maybe I know the answer to, maybe other people know the answer to, but this person doesn't. And I sometimes just get on and read the comments because people are so rude, and it's really not necessary. We don't have to be rude to one another. If people join a group to find out more about their kids' college, about moving into the dorm, or something about classes, or whatever it is, maybe you know that stuff, but this person doesn't. And the whole reason the group exists is to help one another. And so, you know, it's that way with chicken keeping stuff. People will post a question and then people will jump all over them because they're doing something wrong in their opinion, in the opinion of the person who's commenting. There's no right or wrong. Like, let's just live and let live, you know. So that's kind of my thing. I've got people that I'm friends with that we are not the same. I have relatives in my family that we are not the same, socially, politically, religiously, whatever the case may be. People that I've been longtime friends with since college, we are not the same, but we can still, you know, be respectful and, you know, have loving, respectful conversation. I think that common decency and respectful dialogue is something that has really just been stolen by the internet and by social media. You know, so with that in mind, if you run across this video on the interwebs and you feel compelled to comment on something, negative comments will be deleted and you will be blocked. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to get back on here and comment and get in arguments with people if you don't agree with my politics, or you don't agree with my religion, or you don't agree on, I press my seams to the side and you press your seams open. It doesn't matter. You know, we're just here to, you know, share some time. And like I said, maybe you'll learn something new. If you have a cool way of doing something, I'm going to talk a little bit about half square triangles today because that's kind of part of the project that I'm working on. But if you have a cool way, you know, oh, hey, I do my half square triangles this way and here's how I square them up, put it in the comments because somebody might learn from that. I may learn from that. But don't tell me I'm doing it wrong, and don't tell me that you're doing it right. No, we're not doing that. So if that's already a deal breaker for you, you probably just want to shut this video off and go find something else. But if you're still with me, here we go. So today, like I said, I am working on from a book called, hold on a minute, I will have to turn around because I don't have enough table space here. So I've got a group that here at my quilt shop called the Barnstar Sampler Society. So it's a group of ladies who, you know, paid like a membership fee, and we meet once a month and either have a class or an open sew or something like that. We're working on some projects out of this book. So this book, the Barnstar Sampler, is by Shelley Cavanna. It is 20 starry blocks and 7 spectacular quilts. So I'll show you the book. We do have a few of these in stock here at my shop. If you want to, you feel so compelled to jump on the website, it's quiltstorenextdoor.com. We do have some of these books left, but the girls are using this. And so what it is this Shelley Cavanna did research on different quilt blocks that you would find on the sides of barns. I live in the country, and so I find that really cool. You know, you'll be driving around and you'll see barns with quilt blocks on the side, painted on the sides. The local fairgrounds, the county fairgrounds, on some of the barns in the fairground, and the dormers of the barns, they've got like a different quilt block on each dormer. So I think that's really cool. So this book came out this year, this spring, maybe over the winter now, I can't remember. And so we've just been meeting, like I said, once a month. This is a 20 block sampler, and it is a huge quilt. It's like 80 by 100 or something like that. We are not doing the entire sampler in our group, but what we've been doing is just some of the select projects that are in the book. And so the last one that we met to do was this one here. It's called Flower Farm. And so we are doing it in pretty much these same colors, just different prints. And so that is what I'm working on today. So the first block was this here. It was a square and a square. And I've got all those done. It took 5 of those. So I have all 5 of those done. Check mark, that all done. The second block, ouch, is this block here. And it's the corner blocks, and it's made of half square triangles. Half square triangles and then solid green squares. So this is a really, really pretty block. So what I'm doing now, I've got 1 made there. I need a total of 8. So I'm trying to make 7 more. I'm all done with all the half square triangles. Half square triangles coming out my yin yang. So I actually am not sewing, I guess, today while I'm talking to you. I'm just trimming these half square triangles down. Now they have to be 2.5 inches. I probably should check that down because it's been a minute since I looked at this. Yeah, I think they have to be trimmed down to 2.5 inches. So the way that I trim my half square triangles is I use a square ruler. I don't know how you do it, if you've tried that or not. Hold on, I'm gonna check my half square triangles here to make sure I know what I'm doing. Sorry, pause. You can get up and get a drink now while you wait for me to do this. Yeah, they're 2.5 inches. That's what I thought. So I'm gonna trim those down to 2.5 inches and get those dog ears off of them. So that's what I'll be working on today. Now I had 2 piles here because the last time I was sitting here and working on these. Oh, hey, I have some that I've done. I was gonna try to figure out like what have I trimmed? What have I not trimmed? I don't know what's going on. There's nothing. I don't know. Do you do that? There's nothing worse than like you work on a project and then you come back to it a few weeks later and you're like, what in the world was I doing here? I have had that. I've done that so many times. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. And so what are you working on? If you want to put in the comments below what you're working on, I would love to see. I don't know if YouTube comments, I'm going to try to post this on my website too. I don't know if YouTube comments allow you to put pictures or not, but if so, post what you're working on. Now it's summertime. I know people aren't working on as many quilty projects right now because the weather is nice, you know, so maybe you're out. But if you, I know a lot of people who go camping, who have campers that will take their sewing machine and their projects with them. I think that's awesome. I do that sometimes when we go on vacation. If we're going to be, say, at the beach, staying at the beach for a week, you know, in a condo or something, I'll take my stuff with me. We like to, we're not big, our family's not big, like, jump in the water and, you know, splash around and whatever wait for sharks to come get us kind of people. We love to walk on the beach. So, you know, we'll take a morning walk, we'll take an evening walk, you know, we'll do some other things throughout the day. But if I get, you know, an hour here, an hour there, I'll pull out my stuff that I'm working on and, you know, sew a little bit. So that's what I do. Maybe you do that when you're on vacation too. You know, again, you can let me know what you like to do about that. You can post that in the comments. And as I said before, all comments are positive only. So we want to share and learn and make each other better and build each other up. Unfortunately, the internet is fraught with people who just want to tear people down, and I'm just not about that. So we're not doing that. So as I said, any negative comments will be eliminated, but anything you want to share that's positive and fun that people would be interested in or, you know, learn from, feel free to put it in the comments. And like I said, if you can put pictures in there, because I'm not sure, go ahead and do that. I'd love to see what you're working on. So anyway, that's what I'm working on. That is a wall hanging that I think is like this flower farm thing that I'm working on. I think it's like 45 by 45, something like that. I'm planning to hang mine in this hallway that we have in our lower level. When we finished the lower level of our house, we built our house. We'll be here, we've been here over a year, pushing a year and a half, I guess. When we built the house, we had a walkout basement put in. So when we finished the lower level, we ended up with where you come down the stairs from the, you know, the main level. You come down the stairs and the door to the stairs to the basement is at the bottom of the stairs instead of the top. So when you get down there, you kind of are in this little like hallway area before it opens up into the big space that is where my shop is, and our guest bedroom is down here, and we have a storage room and all that, the bathroom. Anyway, so there's this hallway is like too big to be a hallway, but too small to be a room. So we're kind of creating a bookshelf, library area, and then like a little kitchenette area there. So yeah, I'm gonna hang it in there. I think that'll be really pretty above this table that I ordered to, you know, sit. I have, so family history time. My grandmother, my paternal grandmother, who I grew up very close to until she passed away when I was 16. You know, my parents had inherited all of her photo albums, and then my parents both have been gone for several years, and I've inherited all of their photo albums and my grandmother's photo albums. So I have photo albums and photo albums and photo albums and boxes and boxes and boxes of them that belong to other people that have family members in them that some of which I don't know. But you can't throw these things away. I mean, what do you put in the comments? What do you do with these things? I also have boxes of old family Bibles. I cannot throw a Bible away. So for years I've been talking about doing some sort of display with the family Bibles, because some of them, like the copyright dates on them, date back into the 1800s. I mean, they're old and they have sermon notes in them and all sorts of stuff. So really cool things, but they have always been in boxes, just stored away, you know, where you can't look at them or pull the albums out and look at pictures or anything like that. So yeah, we ended up building this bookshelf to put those on and display them, so you can pull the albums off and look at them and, I don't know, maybe actually enjoy them a little bit. I have literally just, they've been in boxes and I've just moved them from place to place to place. So anyway, that's kind of, you know, what we're doing. So anyway, I'm gonna hang my wall hanging in there, and yeah, I think that will be pretty. So again, post what you are working on. My husband is down here, so I was down here doing this video for you, and now he's down here snooping on me. So I'm waiting on him to leave. While I'm waiting on him to leave, I'll show you what I got here. Here's some pretty fabric that we have here in the shop. This is a Moda line called Imaginary Flowers. This is a charm pack, so these are on our website. A lot of really pretty prints here. I think it's really fun. I've got some of the yardage that coordinates with that as well on the website. Again, that's quiltstorenextdoor.com if you feel so compelled to check that out. This is also a Moda line. It's their gradient. I think there's a couple different lines of the gradients, and those are by I forget now. They might just be Moda designers. Anyway, this is the Auras line, and so it kind of has this batik vibe without being like batik. I'm not, like, batiks aren't my thing. I think they're pretty. They're just not necessarily my favorite thing. So I kind of like this. It was like a little bit of like just really bright prints with kind of a batik feel, without being batiks. And then this is some fat quarter bundle. It's a Tilda fat quarter bundle. It's the chambray basics. So it's just some really pretty colors. I'm considering whether or not I need one of these in my life for myself. So anyway, these are going to be on our website here today, probably at some point, and then these are already on the website, but just some pretty things I thought I would share with you. Okay, so I was talking about our little kitchenette thing that I'm going to put my wall hanging in, but I was also talking about, like, are people, you know, are put in the comments down there, are you still sewing this summer? It's been really nice. The weather has been very mild so far this summer. Today is Saturday, June the 15th, 2024, and the weather has been pretty mild. Tomorrow is Father's Day, but apparently here in my area, it's going to be 91 tomorrow, and then it's steadily going up next week. So by Thursday, it's going to be 97. I don't know what that means for the heat index, you know, with the humidity and all that. But of course, Thursday happens to be the day that my daughter and I are going to go set up her college apartment, her room in her college apartment. She has one roommate. She's been in a dorm for the last 2 years. And the school she goes to, they require, and maybe, I think most colleges maybe do that, they require a 2-year residency requirement. So you have to live in a dorm for 2 years. And so she just finished her 2nd year in a dorm. Now, she was lucky enough both years to have a single, so she never had a roommate. But in order to get an apartment, she had to have a roommate. So she's actually going to live with a girl that she went to high school with, and they've been friends since literally first or 2nd grade. So I think they're going to get along okay. They've been through a lot of ups and downs, so I think they'll be okay. But her friend has been living in the apartment since the middle of May, and my daughter is just moving down there, just part-time, through July and August until the fall semester starts. She's actually working a job that's closer to home here for the summer, and kind of doing an internship kind of job with a podiatrist. My daughter is planning to go to med school after she graduates with her undergraduate degree. So, you know, she's trying to get some medical experience and some patient contact. So, some friends of ours, a friend of ours that is a podiatrist and his wife runs his practice, they offered her an internship for the summer. So she was super excited to take that and, you know, get to meet patients and, you know, get some experience doing medical charting and, you know, that sort of thing. So she's really enjoying that, but it's here. So she's staying up here for the summer, but she's also taking summer classes, and one of the classes is actually in person. So she has to be on campus 3 days a week. So we're trying to get her room set up so she can stay down there, you know, 3 nights a week for the second half of the summer while she takes this other class. So we're going to be doing that Thursday, apparently in 97-degree weather. And here's the thing. Her landlord, I don't know, it just, you know, a lot of you probably had kids that have gone to college and you've been through this. I mean, I had an apartment in college, but I had an apartment with one other roommate. It was a decent apartment. It wasn't great. It was decent. You know, we didn't have bugs. We didn't have rodents. We didn't have any of that. Now, I will say ice did form on the insides of my bedroom windows. My bedroom was on a corner and there was a window on each wall, and they literally would ice over in the winter. Like, there would be ice that you could scrape off with an ice scraper on the inside of the windows. Okay, so that wasn't ideal, but otherwise the apartment was, you know, not too bad. There was a window air conditioner in my room, and there was a window air conditioner in the living room, so it didn't have central air at that time. I'm sure they put it in by now, but you know, so it could definitely get hot, and we were on the 3rd floor. But this place is a house that she and her friend are sharing. The individual who owns this house has turned the upstairs into an apartment, and then the downstairs into an apartment. They're on the downstairs, in the downstairs unit, and they're supposed to have central air. So her friend, as it got warmer, was trying to turn on the AC because she's living down there all summer and working. And so no AC, the place was still 80 degrees. So then I told my daughter, tell your roommate to text the landlord and say, look, I was promised AC and I can't live like this. It's 80 degrees. He is required to do something about that. So he brought 2 window air conditioners, didn't even install them. We went down last night and took some of her stuff down, kind of did some cleaning and that sort of thing in her room, and then installed the window air conditioner in her room. Her roommate had already had to install it in her bedroom. So I'm like already kind of done with this guy. And I don't know if he just doesn't understand his responsibilities as the landlord, or just because it's young kids in a college, town, and your choices are limited as to where you can live and what you can rent. He just doesn't care. I don't know. I'm fighting everything in me to step in and get involved, but I'm not supposed to. So I'm trying to just, advise my daughter, hey, how about you ask him about this? Hey, what does your lease say about that? Hey, I would, remind him he's supposed to take care of this. So I'm trying to plant the seeds, and, hopefully the girls are learning as they go. But you know how it is. We were all young once, and people tried to take advantage of us. So then we get old and crotchety. The filter becomes, not very good, and you just say whatever comes to mind. So anyway, speaking of saying whatever comes to mind, for our in the news portion of today's video, the presidential debates are coming up because we are in an election year. November 5th, I think, is election day. I will tell you, in the last few years, like I said, I have always considered myself mostly apolitical. I just didn't really care. I just had no interest in it. But just a lot's been going on in our country over the last few years, so it has made me become more interested in it, and just knowing what's going on. So yeah, so one of the things that I've learned is local politics are very important. So make sure you know who's on your school board. Make sure that the people who are on your school board, that their belief system aligns with yours, because these are your children and there's no one more important than what they're learning, So I know there's some school districts out there that are, embracing things that aren't just reading, writing, and arithmetic. That's what they're supposed to be there for, is just to learn how to read and write and add, subtract, multiply, and divide, and nothing else, nothing more. They're supposed to learn history, they're supposed to learn science, and nothing more, nothing less. So remember that local politics matter. Who's on your school board, who's on your city council, who's on your township trustee board. Make sure that you're finding out what people are about, and you're voting for people who align with your beliefs, and what you would like to see your town look like. And so more broadly, what you want to see your state look like, and what you want to see your country look like. So yeah, I don't normally I don't really watch like presidential speeches or presidential debates, but I think people will be watching as these debates start happening over the next few months until the election. Something my daughter said that I wholeheartedly feel in my soul too, and maybe you do too, is here we are 4 years later with the same guys to pick from. My daughter is 20, and so 4 years ago she was 16, not old enough to vote, but now that this is the first presidential election, she has voted. Every time there's been an election, she's voted in a couple of primaries, even a special election type stuff that we've had here in Ohio, and so she's gotten some voting experience, but this is going to be her first presidential election, and she conveyed to me her disappointment in our choices, and here we are again doing 2016 or 2020 all over again. So yeah, here we are doing 2020 all over again. Wasn't really what I wanted, but here we are, and we got what we got. So those debates are coming up. The first one is next week or week after next, I guess. Maybe it's June 27th. I ran across something. I can post the link in the comments if you want to read the article yourself. But I ran across something in the Daily Wire that a poll was conducted just last week on June 10th by JL Partners Survey. They surveyed 500 likely general election voters. So 500 people who said, yes, I'm likely to vote in the general election in November. Most said that they expect Trump to win the debate. I thought I guess the things that they said were kind of, I don't know, comical, interesting, whatever. So of this 500 people that were surveyed, I'm not a big poll person. My polls are so subjective, you know. You can get, have you, okay, here's another question. Have you ever been called to participate in a poll or approached in a political poll? I mean, not like, hey, you know, we're calling to have you try this potato chip or whatever, something like that. But like a political poll, have you been called, or just maybe I don't answer phone numbers, you know, myself, I don't answer phone numbers that I don't recognize. So maybe those are the pollsters, I don't know, that I'm just missing out on. So I've never been polled for anything. So I always kind of take polls with a grain of salt, because who are they calling, and who's conducting the poll? And let's face it, different groups lean politically one way or the other. I don't care who the group is, you know. So who's conducting the poll? That's the first. When you read polling information, and you're going to see a lot of this in the news over the next several months, kind of put that in the back of your head. Who's conducting the poll? Who did they survey, you know? So if it's, you know, if the poll is saying, oh, hands down, Donald Trump's going to win this election. Okay, was it a conservative group that conducted the poll? Did they only poll conservative voters? And how many people did they actually survey? If it was 20 people outside of Chick-fil-A, it's maybe not a very, you know, accurate poll. Conversely, if you're seeing things that, you know, say Biden is the greatest thing since sliced bread, who conducted the poll? How many people did they talk to? Who are these people voting for? Are they already people who would hands down vote for Biden no matter what he did? So those are just some questions to ask yourself, you know. So like I said, I don't put a lot of grain of salt in polls, but I thought this one was kind of entertaining because it was about the debates, and the debates will definitely be interesting. So 70% of these 500 people that were polled expect Biden to mess up his words. I think that's a fair assessment. 49% expect Biden to forget where he is. That has also happened before. 41% of the people polled expect Biden to walk off the wrong side of the stage. Now, again, I don't watch a lot of presidential speeches or anything like that, but I have just seen some clips on, you know, again, some of the podcasts or on different videos or whatever, and like somebody's kind of always having to like show him how to get off the stage. Now, that being said, if I had to go to as many, you know, public events and stuff like that, I would probably not know where I was supposed to be either. And somebody would probably have to tell me, no, exit stage right. No, exit stage left. So, you know, I can give the guy some slack for that. But I don't know. After a while, you'd think he'd kind of figure out that there maybe is a consistent pattern to some of this. It can't be that complicated. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. 40% expect Biden to have trouble standing up. He sometimes doesn't stand very well. And only 39% polled predicted Biden would win the debate, while 50%, and of that 50%, 13% were Democrats, expect Trump to win the debate. So, the survey said that most people expect him to win. It must have been half. But anyway, for Trump, 80% expect Trump to interrupt Biden. Yeah, that's going to happen, I'm sure. 61% believe Trump will tell a rambling story. I thought that was hilarious. Like, was that a question on the survey? Like, do you believe that Trump will tell a rambling story? Honestly, Biden tells rambling stories too. He gets off on something, and the next thing you know, he mumbles something, and then there's something about he likes mint chocolate chip ice cream, and he's got hairy legs, and I never know what's going on. But yeah, of course, try Trump. Well, Trident. I just combined them. Two old guys. I combined them. I mean, that's just gold. Anyway, you know, yeah, like Biden will get off on these stories too, like I said, and then you have no idea what he's talking about. And so it's just a free-for-all. Like, here we are again, 2020, deja vu. And like I said, Trident, you know, like I just what is it called? I just shipped them. Like when my daughter was like in junior high and you combined two names, it was, you were shipping them, relationshiping them. So I just shipped them. I made it Trident because it's two old guys together. But 54% of the people polled expect Trump's mic to be cut at some point. I do think that will happen also. And I'll tell you why. If you went on and read the rest of the article, and like I said, I can put the link to the article down below, that the moderators are two CNN anchors. You can go out on the internet and research this. You can actually go and research, like, I've actually seen graphs online where you can see different media sources and whether they lean more liberal, whether they lean more conservative, whether they tend to be more centrist. So you can actually go out and look that up. CNN is one that leans very left. So, you know, when you've got two candidates that are debating, and, you know, one is a conservative and one is a liberal, and then you've got two moderators from a left-leaning news source, you have to already think there's, you know, some shenanigans there to begin with. Like, if those two people work for a left-leaning news source, can they truly be objective toward both candidates? So that'll be something to watch. I feel like sometimes in the past, you know, in past debates and stuff, when there have been moderators that have been, you know, more left-leaning, I feel like that a lot of times Trump ends up debating the moderator. You know, it kind of takes away from the debate. You don't really get to hear from both candidates because the moderators are debating one candidate, you know. So I think the moderators need to kind of stay out of it. So I find that interesting. I think my opinion, when they're going to have these debates, the moderators, there should be one moderator that is from a right-leaning group and one that's from a left-leaning group. You know, kind of, I don't know if you've ever worked the polls in your town or in your county or wherever. I have, actually, a few times. I really enjoy doing that. And, you know, they pick, when you sign up to work as a voting precinct, you know, officer, they call it, they always buddy you up with somebody from the opposite party. So if you're registered as a Republican, they're going to buddy you up with a Democrat. And they do that for a reason. So if a voter comes in and they're having difficulty with the voting machine or something like that, when somebody has to go over to the help to help them, the machine is doing something funny or their card's not going in right or whatever, a person from each party has to go over. You know, or a lot of times people will have questions about the issues, like when there's, you know, local issues that you're voting on, school board levies or, you know, that sort of thing. They're very wordy. And so if you haven't already kind of read what it's about before you go into, you know, to the voting precinct, you may have questions about what is it, I don't know, do I vote yes or no, because I'm not really sure which way they're asking the question, and because that can be confusing sometimes. So you have to go over with your buddy to help that voter out. So I think that, you know, maybe it would make sense for moderators to be the same way in debates, you know, one of each, you know, belief system to, you know, to moderate. I don't know. What do you think? You can, you know, put that in the comments, but we're going to do it politely. Anyway, I guess that Biden's campaign team has a lot of demands about how they want this debate to go. You know, so as a general rule, like I said, I don't listen to presidential speeches, but like I said, historically, you know, over the last 3.5 years, when I have heard, you know, clips or actually have watched a few of President Biden's speeches, he can be hard to understand. He's, you know, he's these speeches are given from a teleprompter, and sometimes he can't read the teleprompter properly, or he'll read the notes on a teleprompter. Like, he'll say something and then it'll tell him on the teleprompter, apparently it'll tell him to pause, and then he'll say pause, instead of just pausing and not saying the quiet part out loud. So I don't know, there's this little part of me that kind of, they're not allowing an audience. So Biden's campaign team didn't want an audience present. And then, like I said, they picked, I think, the date and time that the debate would happen. I don't know if they got to pick the moderators or not. But I'm kind of wondering if they don't give him the questions ahead of time, just because he is cognitively a little questionable. And there's actually some information to back that up. But I saw an interview with, she's an ex-ESPN anchor person. I don't really follow ESPN either. So she no longer works for ESPN, and she's kind of gone off and is doing her own like podcast kind of thing. But I saw an interview with her, and she was saying that I think it was 2020. It was either 2020 or 2021. Either Biden was running for president or it was just president. She was doing an interview with him on ESPN, and she said that she was given a very specific script of questions that she could ask him, and she had to ask only those questions, and she couldn't ask follow-up questions. So if he said something and then she had wanted to maybe follow up with something else to get more information from him, she wasn't allowed. She had to follow the script that she was given. So it does kind of make you wonder, do they kind of protect him, because he is, cognitively deficient, maybe he has dementia or Alzheimer's or whatever, I don't know. Anyway, so, so I thought that was kind of interesting that, that she had said that. But I ran across the rest of this article. Let's see here. Earlier this year, Biden's age became the highlight of a special counsel report on his alleged mishandling of classified documents. So maybe you heard about that, or maybe you didn't. You probably most likely heard, that one of the things that Trump was indicted on was having classified documents that he took when he left the presidency. And so the FBI had raided Mar-a-Lago, where he lives in Florida, looking for these classified documents. Now, the caveat to that is a president actually does have the powers to declassify documents and take them with them. I don't know why they do that. I mean, I guess I've never been president, so maybe there's important stuff that you want to take with you. I don't know. But President Biden was also found to have classified documents at his house from when he was vice president. And the vice president does not have the legal power to declassify documents and take them with him. So he has not been indicted on that, but Trump was. So that's kind of interesting, because Trump was allowed to actually declassify those documents and take them with him, and his house got raided. And Biden took classified documents that he did not have a legal power to declassify, and nothing's happened to him. But a special counsel did actually interview him earlier this year, like back in the winter, I want to say. February or March maybe. But anyway, their quote was, "Mr. Biden's memory was significantly limited, both during his recorded interviews with the ghostwriter in 2017, with whom he shared the classified materials, and in his interview with our office in 2023. The report said, we have also considered that at trial, Mr. Biden would likely present himself to a jury, as he did during our interview of him, as a sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory." So the special counsel did not recommend any charges against Biden, because they basically didn't think he could handle going to court. So that, I don't know, that's kind of telling, I think, of his mental ability. He's 82, right? 81, 82. So if he were to win the presidency again, by the time he gets sworn in, he'll be, 82, 83, and then 4 more years. He's almost 90 years old. I mean, don't get me wrong, Trump just turned 78 yesterday, but you can definitely see a big difference in the way they handle themselves. Trump he's been doing all these rallies and stuff, and I've never been to a Trump rally. I hear they're really fun. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on, but he'll speak for, 2 or 3 hours, and he can speak, extemporaneously, off the cuff, tell jokes, that kind of thing. He's not following a teleprompter. I mean, he's got a teleprompter, but he's, he will kind of go off the prompter and do a little stand-up routine and stuff. I've seen some clips of that too. And so yeah, I think there's something to be said, not every 80-year-old's look the same, right? So I don't know, it'll be interesting to see how the debate goes. So I don't know, post in the comments if you want to, whether or not you'll watch the debate. I don't know if I will or not. Like I said, if I do, it'll just be to see if any of the stuff happens that the people polled thought might happen. So anyway, that is current events in the news for this week. But anyway, and then I made a joke about Taylor Swift earlier. I don't care about Taylor Swift. My daughter listens to some of her music, and I don't know. And I will say that I know more about her and Travis Kelce than I want to. I didn't really even know who Travis Kelce was until she started dating him, because I don't follow NFL football. I don't follow football at all. And so yeah, now I know way more about their relationship than I want to. I know how old they both are. Yeah, I know about him going to her concerts and the little things that she does on stage to, blow him kisses and this, that, and the other during her concerts. And of course, she had gone to all the football games and made people crazy at the football games. I don't want to know all this stuff, but my phone tells me, like, these little headlines come up from my news apps that I have, and I'm like, why do I know so much about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce now? I don't want to. So anyway, that's that. So that's in a nutshell. I don't know if you're a Swiftie or not, or if you like her music, or you like Travis Kelce and you follow the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, I didn't know he played for the Chiefs. I didn't know that, but now I do, and I can't unknow it. So anyway, last thing that I kind of want to talk about, and sometimes we'll talk about this when we're at retreats and stuff, or sometimes in classes when I, depending on who I get in here, we'll get on some church conversations, biblical study type conversations. As many of you know, if you're somebody who has known me for a while and you happen to run across this video, or you're someone that comes into the shop, you know that my husband and I are both singers, and we have been attending the same church. It used to be a half hour from where we lived before. Now it's a 45-minute drive from where we live, but we've been attending the same church since 2000, summer of 2000. I think we transferred our membership in January of 2001, so 24 years, 23 years. I can do math, honestly, I swear. So we've been at the church a long time, and I think for all of those years, we have been members of the worship team. So we help lead worship on Sunday mornings, not every Sunday, but, a couple times a month, it kind of depends. But anyway, we really enjoy doing that, and, being able to serve that way. And so when our worship team, we rehearse on Thursday nights. And so when our worship team has our rehearsal night, we gather on Thursday nights. We do a vocal warm-up at 6:30 to kind of just go through some of the vocal stuff with some of the songs. And then at 7, we have a devotion time and prayer time. And following the devotion and prayer time, then we go ahead and we start our full rehearsal with the band and the vocalist together. So our worship pastor, his name is Jake, he assigns somebody every week to be the person who does the devotion on Thursday night. Well, this past Thursday, I was that person. Now, I had been on vacation up until Tuesday afternoon, evening. And so being gone, I just kind of lost track of, what week I was supposed to do the devotion. So I kind of didn't remember until Thursday at lunch, or right before I went to lunch from work. So I was kind of writing my devotion on the fly. But anyway, I did my devotion on the scripture from Colossians that our pastor will be preaching from tomorrow morning. And so his sermon series that he's preaching currently is called Best of Both. So it's having two things at once that can kind of live together mutually. They might seem opposite, but you can have both. That's the best of both. Which is kind of, I feel like goes back to what I was saying earlier. We can be friends with people, or participate in a ministry with people, or work together with people, or whatever, who are different than us. And we can still be friends. We can be friends, but we can be different. Those two things can actually live together in the same world at the same time. It's crazy. So he's doing the sermon series, Best of Both. And so this week, the sermon is on big and close, which I don't know where he's going to go with that till tomorrow morning when I see the sermon or hear the sermon. But I went ahead and did my devotion on big and close from Colossians 1:15 through 20, which is what his message tomorrow is going to be based on. And so when I thought of big and close, it made me think of a microscope. With a microscope, we can see things that are literally invisible to the naked eye, or close to completely imperceivable. And you put it on a slide and you put it under a microscope and suddenly it's big. And you can see all these details in this thing that literally, without the microscope, you can't even see. Invisible to the naked eye. So I think of bacteria or viruses or, different particles that are in the air or particles that are in fabric, and that sort of thing. Dust. We can't see it with the eye, but it's there, and then you blow it up on a microscope and suddenly you're like, oh my gosh, so it looks really big and really close, even though it's nearly or completely invisible. So not having had a microscope with me, I actually brought my special glasses that I wear when I work as a dental hygienist. If you've been to the dentist, in the last few years, you've probably noticed your dentist, your hygienist, we wear these special glasses with these little magnification things on them that are called loupes, Loupes. So these loupes can blow things up to 2 times, 2.5 times, 3 times, 4 times. So, it can take things that are very small, like your teeth, and make them look very big. And things that are small, like plaque and tartar on your teeth that, if you just look in your mouth, you may not see it. It's there, but we can see it better with those glasses on. You may have stain and a little groove on your teeth. And so we're able to see that stain and be able to tell if it's a cavity or if it's just stain. And we can do that with these special glasses because it makes everything larger. It brings everything more up close to us. Otherwise, we'd have to climb into your mouth. I wish we could. It'd be so much easier. But anyway, so that's what it made me think of. Because in Colossians 1:15 through 20, talking about Jesus, he is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn over all creation. For by him all things were created that are in heaven and that are on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created through him and for him. And he is before all things, and in him all things consist. And he is the head of the body, the church, who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in all things he may have the preeminence. For it pleased the Father that in him all the fullness should dwell, and by him to reconcile all things to himself by him, whether things on earth or things in heaven, having made peace through the blood of his cross. Now that might sound like a lot of mumbo jumbo if you're not, sometimes, when you read the Bible, it can, if you haven't been in church in a while and kind of heard a sermon, where they can take what's in the Bible and sort of break it down for you, so that you can understand it. Sometimes that can all seem like mumbo jumbo and like, what in the world is it saying? But I think it's talking about the supremacy of God. God is over all things. He's big, and sometimes when we're small and when we're here on earth and we're going through all the things that we go through in our normal daily life, maybe it's just difficulties at work, or you have a child that's getting into something they shouldn't be getting into, or a health thing that has come up, that's kind of rocking your world. When these things are going on, they seem big in our world, and God seems far away. Like, he's big, but then he seems small because he seems like he's far away, and where is he in those things? And I'm going to be honest with you, he's always there. It may not always feel that way, but he is always there, and I can tell you that from experience. You don't get this old, and not be able to look back across your life and see the hand of God moving in some different areas in your life when you were going through things, So I think this speaks to God's supremacy and how he's big, but yet can seem so far away. And through Jesus acts like our our magnification glasses. Through Jesus, believing in him, believing that he's the Son of God, and that, God made all things, and he did it, with Jesus and through Jesus and for Jesus, because, Jesus is God and all things are for God. It's all his. Everything we have, everything we are, we were made for him. We were made to commune with him. And if we put on our magnification glasses, we can focus more on him. And when we focus more on him, it takes the focus off of ourselves sometimes. And sometimes that's what we need. We look too closely at ourselves. We get too close to ourselves, and we make ourselves too big, and we make the things that are going on in our life too big. And the thing that I didn't tell you about those loops when I put them on is that where I'm looking right through the little things, everything's really big, right? The things in the mouth. But everything like out here beyond those loops is kind of hard to see, because you're looking right here in this field of vision that's looking straight down onto, whatever you're trying to look at on the tooth or whatever. And it makes things out here a little more hard to focus on. So I think that's kind of a lesson for us, is when we're wearing those loops, which are Jesus, we're clothed in the blood of Jesus, and it talks about that. For it pleased the Father that in him being Jesus, all the fullness should dwell. So the fullness of God dwells in Jesus Christ, and by him to reconcile all things to himself by him. So Jesus, through his death and his resurrection, he reconciled us of all of our sins. And then we live in the fullness of God through him, through his blood, and through his death and his resurrection. And by him to reconcile all things to himself by him, whether things on earth or things in heaven, having made peace through the blood of his cross. So we have peace with God, because we're sinners, and we have peace with God through Jesus Christ because of his death and resurrection, because of the blood that he shed on the cross for us. And that's pretty amazing. The supremacy of God, the bigness of God brought close to us through Jesus Christ. Those teeth, I can't even imagine trying to do my job without my loops. I think literally, if my loops broke, I would have to call off of work. And for years, I worked as a dental hygienist without any kind of, magnification glasses. We always had to wear safety glasses so you don't get stuff in your eyes, but I didn't wear magnification glasses for probably the first, 10 or 12 years that I worked. And then I got a pair, and they were kind of okay. And then I got a better pair, and they were better. And then I got, here in the last 5 years, I got a pair that also has a little headlight on it, like a little minor light. So you may notice too that your dentist or hygienist wears the little headlamp also with those funny glasses. And that helps us get the light in there too. So I feel like those magnification glasses, the magnifiers, plus that headlight, it brings all of this focus down on these very tiny things and makes them really big, so that we can be closer to them to do our job better. So, I don't know what you take from that, but that was kind of the devotion that I gave on Thursday. It was kind of how I don't know, I'll let you know what the sermon ends up being about, but, that was kind of what I got from it, is just, we get to share in the fullness of God, the bigness of God through Jesus, our Savior. And so, if you live in the Central Ohio area and, you've been looking for a church or something, feel free to reach out to me through the comments, or there's a contact form that you can do on my website, quiltstorenextdoor.com. So if you're looking for a really good church, we love our church. Like I said, we've been there for 20 plus years now. And so if you live in the Central Ohio area, I can kind of point you toward a good church if you're looking for something for you and your family. Maybe this isn't something you're interested in, and that's okay. Cut the video off. That's fine. But anyway, like I said, these are the things that I like to talk about with my friends. And so hopefully we can be friends. And, I invite you back for another video. So like this, I'll post it, like I said, to my YouTube and on my website. I do have a YouTube channel that's Quilt Store Next Door. Or actually, the YouTube channel, I think, is Quilt365, maybe. I don't know. Follow the link. I'll put the link in there on my website. But if you find this, like I said, if you like it, give it a like. You can subscribe to my channel. But, hopefully you got something out of this. I literally did nothing but talk and did not end up squaring up these half square triangles. But real quick, I'll show you what I do. I don't know, like I said, how you normally square up your half square triangles, but I like to use a square ruler, and I'm going to put that one right there. The half square triangles I'm doing are a little bigger than 2.5 inches, but you're supposed to square them up to 2.5 inches, you know, even. So depending on the size of the half square triangle, I choose which square ruler I'll use. So if I was doing, this is a 4.5 inch square ruler. But if these were, you know, bigger, 6 inches or 6.5, I have a 6.5 inch square ruler, and I also have a 12.5 inch square ruler. So depending on which size I need. But if you ever paid attention, if you have a square ruler, your square rulers have a diagonal line that go across them. That's a game changer for these half square triangles. So if before you've been trying to like square up each side, don't do that anymore. You basically are you lay the ruler in such a way that the diagonal line goes over that diagonal seam on your half square triangle. And then you find, like I said, this is 2.5 inches. So I'm gonna find the 2.5 inch here, 2.5 inch here, and 2.5 inch here. And so then I'll put it so that I'm gonna line up the edge, the 2.5 inch edge along this side here, and the 2.5 inch edge along the bottom, and then have that diagonal line on the ruler following that diagonal seam, and then everything that's hanging out above the ruler and on the side of the ruler gets chopped off. And then you just cut off that remaining dog ear down there, and you now have yourself a nice even 2.5 inch half square triangle. So if you've never tried that method, give that a try. If that was kind of hard to see, you can send me an email, quiltstorenextdoor@yahoo.com. Or like I said, you can message through the Facebook page, and I can kind of walk you through that. But anyway, like I said, I hope that after this 1 hour, 1 minute and 23 seconds, you have heard or seen something that made you a little bit smarter. Like I said, like the video, let me know what you think of it, and if people like them, I'll try to do a new one every week. All right, take care. To all the dads out there, happy Father's Day tomorrow.